James Dean is remembered as the face of rebellion, the young man in the red jacket, the restless soul behind the wheel of a fast car, the actor who burned bright and faded too soon. But behind the myth, behind the leather jacket and the fame, behind the tragic ending everyone remembers, there was a quieter James, a young man who once carried around a letter he never had the courage to send. This is the story of that letter, and the girl who never knew it existed. It begins in 1954, a year before Rebel Without a Cause turned him into an icon. Back then, James was just another struggling actor in Hollywood. Skinny, intense, a little awkward, and always lost in his thoughts. He lived in a small apartment above a tailor shop on Vine Street, spending his days auditioning, waiting tables, and scribbling down ideas in a beat-up notebook he carried everywhere. And twice a week, he visited a tiny corner bookstore on Melrose Avenue. That's where he met Emma Whitfield. Emma wasn't famous. She didn't dream of being in movies. She didn't even know who James was the first time he walked in. She just worked the register, a quiet girl with dark hair, soft eyes, and a smile that made people feel like the world wasn't as heavy as it felt a moment before. James came in pretending he was there to look at poetry books. But in truth, he came to see her. "Back again," Emma teased one afternoon. James shrugged. "Guess I like words." "Or maybe you like hiding in the poetry aisle," she said with a half smile. He blushed, something no one believed James Dean ever did. They talked a little more each time he visited. Books, music, the strange loneliness of Los Angeles. Emma liked that he wasn't like other young men she met. He didn't brag. He didn't flirt. He just listened. And when he spoke like every word mattered. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the buildings, James found her sitting on a step outside, reading a worn paperback. He sat beside her. "What are you reading?" he asked. "Something about people trying to become who they are," she replied. He smiled. "Aren't we all trying to do that?" They talked until the streetlights came on. James walked her home. It wasn't a date, not officially, but it felt like one. When they reached her building, Emma hesitated. "Do you ever feel like the world expects you to be someone you're not?" "Every day," James said quietly. She nodded. "Me too." She was the first person who ever made James feel understood. That night, James went home and wrote the first line of a letter. "I don't know why, but talking to you makes things feel clearer." Weeks passed. They grew closer. Still nothing happened. No kiss, no confession. Just the soft promise of something that felt real. Then James got the call. A director wanted him for a new film. A big one. Suddenly, James disappeared into long rehearsals, endless meetings, sleepless nights. Hollywood was pulling him away faster than he could hold on to anything. One afternoon, exhausted but hopeful, he returned to the little bookstore. But Emma wasn't there. The owner told him she had gone back to her hometown in Oregon. Her mother had fallen ill, and she didn't know when or if she would return. "Did she leave anything?" James asked. The owner shook his head. "No, but she asked about you. She said she hoped you'd become the man you were trying to be." James nodded quietly. That night, he went home and finished the letter. He wrote about how she made him feel seen, how he wasn't James Dean with her. He was just James, how he wished he had told her that she mattered, how he hoped she would come back someday so he could say it in person. He sealed the letter, stamped it, held it in his hand, but he never mailed it. Maybe he was scared she didn't feel the same. Maybe he thought he didn't deserve something so gentle. Or maybe he was already becoming James Dean and didn't know if there was room left for James. He carried that letter in his jacket pocket for months, even on the day he left for the shoot of Rebel Without a Cause. Even on the day the world started to recognize him. Even on the day he drove his Porsche down the highway for the last time. When the wreck was cleared, the responders found a few items in the car: keys, a pocket knife, a crumpled pack of cigarettes, and a sealed envelope addressed to Emma Whitfield. The letter was never opened, never delivered, never read. And to this day, no one knows exactly what James Dean wrote inside. But maybe it doesn't matter. What matters is that before he was an icon, before the posters, before the myth, James Dean was just a young man who fell quietly, painfully, beautifully in love with a girl from a bookstore. A love he never found the courage to say out loud, and a letter that remained sealed, just like the part of his heart he never got to share.